Campfire horror session, the weeping by the river. The river whispered beside them, its black waters shifting in the moonlight. The campers sat in a crooked circle, the fire crackling low, but the storyteller hadn't looked at the flames once. His eyes were fixed on the current, as though something might crawl out of it at any moment. Finally, he spoke, voice low and strained. "You've heard of La Llorona, haven't you? Everyone has. The story's old, older than the towns, older than the churches. They tell it to children, to scare them into obedience. But I'm telling you now, she's real. I've seen her. The story goes like this. A beautiful woman, scorned by her husband, drowned her own children in a fit of rage. When she saw their bodies float away, she fell into despair and followed them into the river. But heaven rejected her. Cursed, she wanders the banks of every river, searching, crying into the night for the little ones she will never hold again. But that's the folk version. The truth is worse. When I was young, my uncle vanished near this very river. He was strong, a fisherman, a man who knew these waters better than anyone. One night, he never came home. They found his shoes by the shore, but not him. My aunt swore she heard him afterward, outside her window, crying like a woman. She said she saw wet handprints on the walls, higher than any man could reach, as if something had climbed up from the ground. Back then, I thought it was madness, a grieving widow's hysteria. But years later, I learned she was telling the truth. It was after a fiesta in the next village. I'd had too much to drink, and I took the riverside path home. The moon was high, silver over the water. That's when I heard it. A woman, crying. Not softly. No, this was raw. Long, drawn-out sobs, echoing across the water like the river itself was weeping. I thought someone had drowned. My chest tightened, and I ran. But the strange thing was, no matter how far I went, the crying stayed just ahead. Always around the next bend. Always just out of sight. And then, suddenly, it stopped. The silence was worse. The whole forest seemed to be listening. Even the river hushed, its current heavy and slow. I turned in a circle, my breath showing white in the summer air, my heart hammered. That's when I saw her. At first, she looked like a woman in white, standing ankle-deep in the current. Her dress clung to her body, soaked and dripping. Her hair hung in black strands over her face. But the longer I looked, the more wrong she seemed. Her dress wasn't white. It was gray, rotted, torn. Her skin was pale, waxy, stretched tight like a drowned corpse. And her hair, it wasn't wet. It was moving, swaying in the waterless air like it was alive. She lifted her head, slowly, too slowly. Her eyes were black sockets, hollow and endless, water spilling down her cheeks like tears. Her mouth opened, not to cry, but to scream. The sound wasn't human. It was drowning. It was every scream of every soul that had ever choked on water. It was my uncle's scream, my aunt's sobs, my own voice, twisted, begging. I stumbled back, but the ground was wet beneath me, though the air was dry. Mud sucked at my shoes. My clothes clung as though I'd been submerged. I gagged and spat, and what poured from my mouth wasn't saliva. It was river water. Cold, dirty. Then I felt them. Hands. Tiny hands. Gripping my ankles. My calves. My wrists. Small, cold, dead. Dozens of them. Pulling me toward the river, dragging me into the soil. I looked down, and I swear I saw children. Blue, swollen faces beneath the mud. Their mouths opening and closing soundlessly as they clawed at me. I screamed and tore myself free, but when I looked up, she was right in front of me. Her face was inches from mine, her jaw unhinged, far too wide, water gushing from her throat as she shrieked. My ears bled, my skin burned with cold, and then she whispered, in a voice like water trickling through a coffin.
"Where are my children?"
I don't remember what happened after. I woke at dawn on the riverbank, coughing mud and water, my skin covered in bruises shaped like tiny hands. And since that night, sometimes, when I walk near water, I hear them. Children, following, laughing, crying, calling me into the river. I don't think she ever let me go. The storyteller fell silent. The campers sat frozen, the fire guttering low. The river nearby gurgled louder, as though it had leaned closer to listen. Then came the sound. Crying. A woman's voice, grieving and devoid of life itself. drifting across the black water. One camper swallowed hard. That's just the current, right? The crying grew sharper, closer, and then, from behind the group, dripping wet, cold against the night air, came a whisper. My children. The fire hissed and died, plunging everything into darkness. Something wet brushed across their ankles. Serenescape edits. Thanks for watching.